to talk about today is IMSI hacking. My name is Murray Rothbeard, aka Kevin Watkins. I work for an outfit called Mr. Robot. I've been in the electronic warfare game since the early 80s. I'm quite familiar with RF and all the changes that have been in the marketplace since then. If you want to know more about me, go on my LinkedIn and you can see a whole biography all about me, you know, all about that. So without further ado, I guess we should get into this PDF. And the thing about it is what happened is this guy gave this presentation on RSA about IMSI hacking. And he was a member of an organization that says that they have worked for states and corporations, and that they've set up these things around embassies, for instance, and been able to help governments. We would assume that the German government, after what happened with President Obama spying on Merkel, but they were IMSI hacking, they were IMSI catching Merkel's phone and getting every call that she made. So that's probably who they were working for. But that's neither here nor there. Let's bring up the PDF here. So anyway, Project Overwatch here is what the guy was talking about. Excuse me. And it's an effort to combat IMSI catchers. So about 6 years ago, he's saying, like I said, that they had this thing going on. They were trying to help this major European government customer, one must assume Germany once again, and they were, this principally works over the SS7 signaling system and over the air using IMSI catchers. So this whole system was designed to be a client-based, I guess you could say, but designed to help spread these things around the city and then get you a situational awareness of what's going on in your neighborhood with people trying to listen to your phone calls. So, moving on. So they've been in the media quite a bit. Some examples of things we have seen. People can use these things to spot who's in areas, to find criminals. Here's a handheld IMSI catcher right there. Here's a whole kit, 3 different things. One of them is a Stingray. 2 of the devices made for state actors to hack phone calls and to work using prisons. Here's a mobile one. So they're quite prevalent in the media. People know that they're around. But the ones that you really have to be worried about are the ones that the state actors have. Because, man, they know what they're doing, okay? So they're in a much better situation to do something with the information, and they have the power to get into these networks. You see, when these networks are developed, they're done with the full knowledge of these states. The Chinese government, for instance, the United States government, so on and so forth. So the thing is, they have been in the media, but it's mainly this thing Stingray that people have been talking about a lot, and that's because the police use it. They have them in airplanes, they fly them around cities. They found several of them in Washington, D.C. They're everywhere. They're very pervasive, and that's why this is a no-joke thing that this guy is doing as a service for these governments. All right? So the IMSI is the individual mobile subscriber identity. And the IMSI catcher is something that's been used in electronic warfare for a long time, which is a device that pretends to be a particular type of signal. So it pretends to be a cell tower in order to trick your phone into connecting to it. So in truth, your phone has no idea an IMSI catcher is working or not, because it uses various automatic gain control, for instance, would be one way to do it. And makes your phone think that it is just the best signal it's ever seen, and it wants to connect to it right away. So cell phones are designed to look for towers with the best reception. So this particular feature is exploited. And the operator of the IMSI catcher has to manipulate his femtocell or whatever he's using to look like a nearby tower, a system that your phone would be familiar with and wanting to connect to. So it has to actually look more attractive. So one thing you could do, for instance, is you could interfere. You could interfere with that signal, and you could interfere with the real signal and have a better, nice, clean signal down here for your victim to jump onto. So so in order to look more attractive than the surrounding towers, the IMSI catcher could, like I said, broadcast a stronger signal, modify some of the values in the strings that it is providing to the tower to identify itself, jam the competing frequencies. That's an attractive alternative, and push the green button. There's something to do with the broadband processor that can be done in that way, and it varies in between what kind of processor was on the phone. So these are some of the things that you can do with an IMSI catcher. You can verify a phone location or a person's location. Just a real brief aside, one thing that I did one time was for a crime-stopping network was use this type of device with Wi-Fi to find phones that were in crime areas, high crime areas in New Orleans. So track and locate a device. If you're looking for a particular target, a person, you could deny service to an area, keeping people from using it. Like, if you're running a concert and you want to keep people from broadcasting the concert off of their cell phone. So you can monitor cell phone use in prisons, you can intercept calls and text messages, and you can be alerted to the arrival or departure of a particular person, a VIP, a vehicle, because people always have these devices on them. And that's really what's going on here more than anything, is a type of social manipulation of people, really, and using the features of these networks that we've come to rely on. Okay, are 3 and 4G calls more secure? Well, they used to be, because the level of difficulty was higher and less 4G intercept systems were available, but now many have been produced, all right? And so at a particular conference here, the HITB conference in 2016, Unicorn team explained how to force the targeted LTE phone onto an unsafe network, and that's normally what you want to do. People have to understand these phones that we have. One of the things that's really amazing about them is that they're just like a sandwich, man. They're just like a technology sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're just layer upon layer of technology, starting with the edge network, 2G, 3G, 4G, coming with 5G. These things all have to be stacked together, and they all work independently depending on what system you're connecting to. So that's why people out here in far southwest Texas, where I live, have any service at all, because there's only a few towers here. So everything has to be very adaptable to everyone's phone that they have. So it's really important that these things, this is why things work, it's why it's so reliable. That's why people like it. That's why we all have one. All right? So the thing you want to do is you want to get them onto the 2G network, because then they're all, the security features built into these other systems are gone. And unless you're watching your phone very carefully, you'll never even see this. So locking your phone, we found in the settings, is to 2 and 3 and 4G is not completely reliable, because your phone really wants to work. Okay, what about 5G? 5G is the next step forward. I'm going to have some more videos about that. But the thing about it is 5G isn't here yet, and there's a lot of misinformation going on about the 5G coming. So, one of the things that people don't understand is, one of the things that's held back the, gross adoption, moreover, of GPS is that, the two-way communication type thing is that everybody has to have their own SIM card. So 5G is not going to rely on as much upon the cell network as people think and the Internet of Things. It's actually going to be more this thing called low raw, which is very low power. Because one of the problems, onboarding onto networks, for instance, when you go from one cell tower to the next, you're verified as you go along. And all the carriers know you're paying, so everybody lets everybody on. But these new things, all these things coming onto our network at once, they have to be very easily onboard, and there can't be a charger, there can't be a SIM card. We'll talk more about that later because I'm going to produce some videos more about 5G as I start to deploy this type of equipment here in far southwest Texas, home of the last frontier. All right, but let's get back to this presentation. By the way, the guy that gave this, it really sucked because he had a really bad Australian accent, so I hope people can understand me at least. Anyway, there's no particular technology specified for 5G yet. It's still open for public proposals, and that's why people ought to really be looking into it now. Now's the time to look, but don't freak out. Try to figure it out what's going on. We're not technological dummies. One of the things that I really try to promote is that people should be able to, not just leave it up to the so-called experts. Some of us understand these technologies, and we can get a hold of it, and we can understand it for our own self, and we don't have to be just slaves to technology. We can be the ones that run it. So there are 4G IMSI catchers. They do exist, and so there's going to be 5G ones too. Initially, only the state actors will have them, but soon enough, the hackers will have them too. And you can bet your tax dollars that the 3-letter agencies are going to be hard at work. They're hard at work right now as the spec is being dreamed up to get into it already. So how to catch an IMSI catcher. All right, the ARFCN is a way to identify a tower. Let's Google that so I don't misstate myself. ARFCN, and that is the absolute radio frequency channel number. So this is how things are determined to be in the cell tower world. So someone manipulates that, all right, and they use the same cell ID or the other IDs used in close proximity to other towers to make your phone assume they're part of the network, okay? Or you may see a cell that has no neighbors, all right, or one that has ciphering disabled. That's why you want to force someone down to 2G, where you could turn the ciphering off. You want to see yourself being forced down to 2G, all right? So, and you can change the timing of things. So if you're looking very closely at the signals being transferred on the SS7 network, you can see these timing marks, and that something's off about them. And the sequence of these events really makes a difference too, and that's how, I guess it's more of probably a logarithm type thing that you use to detect this. So isn't there an app for that? No, that's what you don't understand. One of those things I showed in that little slideshow to begin with was a let's go back to that just for a minute. This thing is a engineering handset. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But anyway, these are the types of things that you would need because you need to be able to manipulate that broadband processor in the IMSI catcher. You need to be able to manipulate that phone, and no one's going to let you have control of your phone, not even Android. This right here is what I'm talking about. So that is an engineering handset, and for most people, they're not gonna have that. So there's no app that's gonna let you, even when the phone is root, to let you have access to this. So this is a very special type thing. Detecting some of these anomalies will require you to have the baseband processor under your control. It isn't even possible without a rooted device, but I mean, you can rig one up in Android, but not that easy. Apps with standard API access are missing their critical indicators needed from the phone baseband, so you wouldn't know what's going on. The Type 0 SMS, also known as the silent SMS, are often used to locate for location tracking. So these things just aren't available. So here he goes and making some claims and shows a little bit about how the network works. He has these devices all around town, the various embassies and missions for this particular European government. And then, he even goes out into explain they can detect the rogue baseband stations and other cellular attacks in real time. This is like a monitoring, like a listening network, There's later on I'll make a video, but there's something you can even buy off of Amazon that is used to watch TV in Europe and actually can be used to detect these towers and get this information. So the hostile takeover of the broadband baseband processor, is what's necessary to see that there's an IMSI hack going on. And you look for modified picocells and people trying to force you down to 2G, like we said before. So here are some screens where he's showing the real-time events, like people being forced down, as we said, or people trying to request no cipher, which is what you would see on the 2G network. And here is a tower emulating the wrong country. It's a dead giveaway. So these are the types of things you need a human being to look at as well. So there's not that kind of AI yet. So then it logs all these, and you want to have a long-running tally of these things. So when something new shows up, it's instantly flagged. And that's part of the system, too, that he's demonstrating here. So here he is. He's located a rogue cell. And here they are looking at several embassies at one time over the whole globe. And that's pretty much when he went to a demonstration. So FCC's been involved with investigating their use, but at the same time also provides equipment for certification of these devices. So that's where they come from. The effective tool that all governments and intelligence agencies don't want to lose. So there's always going to be these things around. We provide governments and law enforcement the ability to detect and monitor IMSI catchers, and it's up to them to decide which ones are legal and illegal. And I guess that's where he makes his money, isn't it? Okay? So what can really be done? In reality, network operators need to consider the effect of IMSI catchers on customer services. The sale of IMSI catchers is already tightly regulated, but people can make them. Government needs to take a proactive role in detecting and prosecuting IMSI catcher operators, which is where he comes in and makes his money because he catches them. Prompt investigation of potential threats is required, once again, pointing you towards him as a contractor for government money. And to defend against IMSI catchers, you need to be able to find them first. Certainly, he has demonstrated that he has the ability to do this, mainly with maintaining a database of all the towers in an area. So there's his email address. And I hope my presentation was adequate and that you could understand me. It took me a long time to make this because I didn't have a proper sound. I kept trying to make videos. The sound was horrible. People made fun of me. They said it sounded like a